Oh no, that would be terrible. That would almost top the photo of Anchor behind Todd Howard, where he's like,
That photo is awesome. Where he's going. Oh. I need to get that photo again. I used to have it. I lost it.
I think Anchor sent it to me a while ago. Oh,
Yep.
I guess we're live here.
Okay.
I was just waiting for it. I'm like, oh, it turned yellow. I wonder when he's gonna notice. Just wait and see.
Whew, at least it wasn't anything too edgy for once. So welcome to the Gaming Perspective Podcast, episode 24. As everyone realizes, I have to look down to see what the episode number is. All right, so we got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. We're going to start with introductions, of course. Eric is off for the night. He's enjoying some time with his daughter while his wife heals from surgery, wishing her the best. So I'll introduce my panel, Mr. Samuel Tolbert from the Inner Circle Games Network.
Hey guys, how's it going? I hope everyone has been doing well. We've missed you. We've been away for a little while. We weren't happy about it either, but we're back now. And we are really excited. There is a ton of news, and the Spider-Man spoiler cast is still coming. We're just waiting on one member of the crew to finish up Spider-Man, and you can guess for yourself which one that is. So.
It's Rage. Guy hasn't even bought it yet.
I'm going to platinum it in 24 hours. 24 hours. That's
24
it.
hours?
24 hours.
Possible.
Straight. Start to finish.
Not probable, but possible.
Possible.
I mean, I did in about 28 hours, 29 hours. Nick, how long would you say it took you?
I think my save file said 23.
Wait, your save file told you how long? Mine didn't have how long.
Oh, maybe it would. No. I think I went through this with someone else. I thought I had save time, but no, there's no time keep on save files.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay, but I mean, it's somewhere in there, you know.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there. Yeah, I'd say like 25, 30 hours, which world size wise, it kind of reminded me of Watch Dogs 2. The open world, it didn't drag. Okay, going for the platinum dragged, but if you just played the game as you wanted to play it and you weren't too miffed about the platinum, perfectly sized game. Anyways, continuing introductions. Also joining me from the Inner Circle Games Network, Jared.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Let's get this show going. We got good topics for tonight.
Yes, which I can't see in the group chat because I had to refresh my Hangouts. We're off to a very professional start.
Man,
I'll just repost them.
Okay,
that's not.
Boom.
And Jared just reposted it.
Oh,
so there you go.
We just had N4G happen in our group chat, basically. Who can post it first?
Seriously.
And Jared's in there with the copy and paste. Okay.
Hey, I posted it in the first place, so I didn't copy and paste anything else. I was like, well, just okay, cool, done.
All right, so I guess we'll get into what we've been playing. I'll let Jared start. What have you been playing?
Oh boy, a lot of Destiny Forsaken 2 and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Both have been fantastic games. But man, I still have a hard time dragging myself away from Forsaken to play anything else right now. I gotta finish Tomb Raider so I can knock that off my plate, and then I gotta play Immortal Unchained because I gotta review that. But I still gotta play Destiny 2 Forsaken to keep up with that. But I can't. Yeah, the struggle is real, man. So that's what I've been playing.
Yeah. That's an awesome mix. I think everyone's feeling the pinch on this. There's not a person right now I know that isn't like, oh, I've got this in play, and then I want to buy this. Like, be me right now. Be a Hitman fan, boy, and be a Fallout fanboy, and they release one day apart.
That's just
it's terrible. Sam, what have you been playing for the past 2 weeks?
Shockingly enough, like Jared, I've been playing a lot of Destiny 2 Forsaken expansion, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I finished Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I haven't 100%ed it. I got like 85, 86%. So I just need to go back in there and do a few things. Excellent game. I've already talked about it at length in my review, which is up on techgamesnetwork.com. So, if you want to know more about it, you can go in there. But TLDR, I had a lot of fun with it. The story, Jared, I think would agree, has some problems. It has some moments which are like, okay, that didn't really land. But Lara and Jonah are very believable characters. Their relationship is actually well fleshed out in this one, as opposed to Rise. And this one is a good balance between the 2013 game and Rise of the Tomb Raider in terms of being open and letting you explore, but also keeping the pace and keeping you moving forward. It's much more linear than Rise was. So that's been good. Destiny 2 Forsaken is a ton of fun. It's a great expansion. It's everything I think that Bungie really needed to do to bring Destiny 2 back into the limelight, and they did a great job with it. I've also been playing Red Dead Redemption in prep for the sequel, which is actually the prequel, which comes out in October. Seriously, I'm sorry. The name is still messing me up there.
This one goes that way, and goes that way, then goes this way.
But yeah, it actually holds up really well, especially on Xbox One, where it's got the enhancement patch. So now it's 4K. And what the heck?
No.
Oh, no.
Nick! What'd you do? Okay.
I didn't do nothing
here.
Oh, boy.
Okay. I just guarantee. Hey, I've done the one thing that Al has not been able to do in like a month. I got Man on a podcast
on a Saturday night. On a Saturday night, low less.
Yeah, Saturday night, exactly. Well, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. I was watching Spider-Man 3, and I said, these guys are doing a podcast. Let's see what's going on.
Okay, so I can watch the thing that's actually interesting, basically.
No, you gotta say, Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire is a vastly more interesting movie than Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. I didn't say it was better. I said vastly more interesting.
Yes. Okay, good distinction. More interesting. Yes, it is a more interesting. If you
much rather watch that
for the bad film it is, then you can just enjoy how bad it is. But in terms of quality of film and actually trying to take itself seriously, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 were better.
Well, I just think Amazing Spider-Man 1 is an okay movie. It's not a good Spider-Man movie. Mm-hmm. Because if you look at the motivations are absolutely terrible for Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Like it really is. Spider-Man's basically a dick in Amazing
he
Spider-Man
is.
1.
Yeah, I can't deny that. He really is.
Yeah,
like he's just a dick the whole time.
Which they even point out in the film, but.
Yeah, that's why I say it's not a good Spider-Man movie. It's an okay movie, just not a good Spider-Man movie. But Spider-Man 3 in general, like I'm about halfway through the movie right now, and the individual parts are actually just very good. It's just because it's so crowded with so many villains that it really pushes everything too quickly.
It needed to be 2 films. It really did. Everything.
Well, no, I don't think like that. I just think they see a better editor, really. Like, they could have pulled off 3 villains, but it was like, but if it would have been a great movie if they just cut out one of them and just given the extra screen time to either Venom or
that's
Harry
what I'm saying. Like, Venom and the symbiote didn't even need to be in there. It could have just been, or the symbiote could have, but don't put Venom in. Save Venom for another film. Just let it focus on the balance between Harry and the Sandman, especially because Sandman was done so well. But this is not a movie podcast, so
I'm sorry. So we talked about Spider-Man beforehand, so I was like, conveniently watching it at the same time.
Well, that provides.
I'm going to use the quote from now on. It's going in the description. Basically, is this podcast is officially better than Spider-Man 3 as per Anchorman. That's gonna be my market. That's gonna be my marketing tool.
Oh, yeah, like a little quote on the game cover box. Better than Spider-Man 3. Oh boy!
Man. So before I go into it, Anchor, what have you been playing?
That's a good question. Well, I finished Spider-Man up over the week. I finished up Spider-Man, so that's done. Little Strange Brigade, Sea of Thieves. I'm trying to think what else I've kind of touched briefly. I thought about going back to Telltale, but good riddance, so I don't care anymore.
Oh.
I forgot this episode.
Oh boy.
I need my thunderboard so I can ring it and go drama.
Oh Lord.
Nah, that's basically it. I haven't played that much, really.
That's fair.
Basically the usual stuff.
That's fair. Nick, what have you been playing?
Well, finally got the platinum for Spider-Man before the podcast. Had to sit down for 5 hours and do nothing but street crimes last night. Thought I fell asleep at some points. Not sure if I just won on muscle memory, but I got it done.
You probably did. You were probably just going...
Press square, hear tingling sound, press circle, repeat.
Oh boy.
I've been playing Spider-Man, ton of PUBG, and Counter-Strike because all the games I play on PC are old, basically.
Yeah.
So let's make our way down this topics list here. We're not going to start with PS Now. We're going to start with Telltale because that's the hot.
Yeah, that's blindsided us all.
That's the hot. That's the hot stuff.
Well, not all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to take a little bit of a back seat on this one, let you guys have the fun, because for me, it's sad to see, but I haven't been a fan of the game, so I'm kind of indifferent on this one. Yeah, it sucks losing jobs, but that's about
Nick,
all
this
I
is going to
got.
suck. You do realize this is about to really suck, Nick.
Well, I've heard Jared's Spider-Man takes, so I knew this was going to be horrid.
Oh.
And plus, he likes Destiny, so clearly there's a taste issue.
All right, so how do you want to go in on this? Just say it for what it is.
I'll preface some base information. Everyone can throw their takes, their lukewarm or their super spicy ones, which I know are coming. Which is part of the reason someone got an invite, because I needed this magic. So Telltale Games announced yesterday that they were laying off a majority of their staff. They had 250 people or whatnot got laid off, fired, whatever the case may be. They're keeping a small team of 25 to finish up the Netflix Minecraft story because they're contractually obligated by Netflix. But as of right now, all their games are canceled or on hold. So Walking Dead, the final season, it's most likely going to be stuck on episode 2 out of 4 for good. There could be a possibility, probably not. So the reason this was cited was dwindling sales was a huge factor. It's been pretty much downhill for them since about Tales from the Borderlands. Everything started to go down exponentially. And also the biggest problem Telltale Games faced is they did a lot of big games and movies franchises that getting licensing for isn't necessarily cheap. And also the fact that you can also cite, and Sam may or may not agree with me with this, they had not done a lot to their games to differentiate them other than the stories themselves.
Right.
And they hadn't done a huge amount of if you go from Wolf Among Us and you go Batman, there is small things that were improved upon, but it was the same formula every time. And for a lot of people that got samey, so they got dwindling sales, company didn't change fast enough, plus management. So basically Telltale Games is done. They helped pioneer a whole style or genre of games that came from it, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. It sucks because people lost their jobs, but at the same time, I think Telltale Games probably had terrible management. And I'm going to cite cite this, and I don't want people to think I'm dunking on the creative people that made the games at Telltale. This is more of the people that are supposed to be managing the money the company takes in and the direction the company should go, more so, because if you're seeing 50% sales decreases on any platform after you release something, you should reevaluate. They did not do that. They hired people up to less than a week ago and relocated these people to locations of their studios just to fire them. In the end, there's people that have only worked at Telltale Games for 5 days or less that just lost their jobs after relocating. And Telltale Games management is trying to say that they didn't know anything about it. It just came down and they learned about it at the same time everyone else did. Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. And the fact that none of the creative staff or any of the developers knew that was coming, it's terrible. It's mismanaged, misdirectioned, and that's what closes a studio. As we've seen with tons of games, it only takes one bad game to doom your studio. And Telltale had a series of very mediocre titles, and unfortunately, they suffered for it. Hopefully, everyone lands on their feet and that genre doesn't die. But that genre does need to improve and do a little bit of different things to push it forward. I know Anchor's gonna have the spiciest take on this, so I'm gonna start. I'm gonna alternate it. I'm gonna get Jared's opinion. I'm gonna get Sam's opinion. Then I'll get Anchor's opinion to wrap up. So, Jared, any thoughts or?
Yeah, it's got to be some sort of a management issue for sure. Like, there's no way they didn't know something was up or something was coming down the road. It's how inept do you have to be at your job, and not just that, but to even think logically, to be blind to something like that happening in a managerial position. Like, yeah. I have some issues with that, as you guys can probably tell. But I don't really have a whole lot to say. Like, I hope what actually happened comes to light soon, and that we all really see and understand what went on behind the scenes to create this situation. But I am also really happy that, as what we've noticed on social media, especially on Twitter, all the other game studios and game devs reaching out and be like, hey, you guys need a job. We know you lost it, but here's a list of all these positions. This studio's hiring. This studio's hiring. Hey, we're hiring. Hey, come. We're buying lunch for anyone that wants to come out to us, sort of thing. I forget who was doing that.
Ubisoft,
yeah.
Cisco office. Yeah.
Buying people lunch. Like, hey, come meet us at this place at this time. Sit down. Let's talk positions, and we'll buy you lunch. Just treat on us. It was like, that's awesome to see after something horrible like this. But
yeah, it's always great seeing the game industry pull together, and especially because so many people lost their jobs. This wasn't a layoff. This was bigger than Capcom Vancouver completely shutting down. And it's horrible when you realize that between Capcom Vancouver shutting down completely and Telltale Games losing 90% of their workforce, we're looking at over 400 devs who lost their jobs. There have been bad weeks before like that in the industry, but this ranks up there. This really ranks up there as one of the worst ones in recent memories. I actually tweeted out, or quote tweeted an older tweet where it's like, look at how many studios have been closed versus opened this year in 2018. How many studios have been opened? Crystal Northwest, a support studio for Crystal Dynamics because they're working on the Avengers game, and The Initiative, Microsoft's big new quote quadruple A unquote studio. Now look at how many have been closed. It's not even remotely comparable, especially now that you throw Telltale Games and Capcom, Telltale effectively, and Capcom Vancouver on there. I'm interested to hear what Anchorman has to say about it, so I'll keep my thoughts brief. And mainly because I want to rebut a lot of what I know he's going to say. But first and foremost, I'll say three things. A, my heart really does go out to all the devs who have been affected. I hope you find new jobs soon. I really, really do. Second most important thing, there is no way management did not see this coming. And it raises serious ethical questions about what was going on. If they were giving off the impression that all these games were selling so well, and they were making money by, you know, having their games go to PlayStation Plus and Games with Gold, because you don't pay Microsoft or Sony for that. They pay you for that. It's a nice chunk of change, especially the sooner the game hits the service. Like it's negotiated individually. It's not a flat fee. So they were making money off of that. How were you not in the black? What was going on? I know the Steam chart that came out recently about how many Steam owners owned every game. Nick, did you share that image?
Yes, I did.
Okay, yeah. So Walking Dead Season 1 was a runaway hit. Wolf Among Us, Tales from the Borderlands, and Season 2 all sold decently. And after that, it just falls off a cliff.
Yeah.
What happened? What was going on? Why did you take on so many projects and pay for expensive licenses like Batman or Game of Thrones? Like, that cannot have been cheap. There's no way. I know Minecraft Story Mode, Microsoft actually approached them about that, so that was fine. They were in the black on that, but there's way too much that doesn't add up, especially when you are hiring people to relocate themselves and their families to come out and work for you a week before this happens. That's completely unethical. And it's another good reason why this industry needs to unionize, and soon. Anyways, so I'll keep it to that for now because I'm interested to hear what Ivan has to say.
Yeah, and the only thing that's also worth noting, which kind of sucks for people that have been there for a long time, is there was no severance package for anybody that was let go. There was no severance pay. There was nothing. Literally, they came in, clean out your desks, you're fired.
Yep. No compensation for overtime right before the closing. They just said, bye.
Yeah. And medical runs out in a week.
Yeah, basically.
Medical runs out in a week. One last thing I'll add, a quick addendum before Ivan goes. One of the employees, one of the 25 who's remaining, is insisting that the studio will remain open after they finish their obligations to Netflix. And that's why the 25 are staying, because they're not even finishing The Walking Dead's final season. They're working on the Minecraft Story Mode for Netflix. And evidently they have to do that, legally speaking, or there could be repercussions. This developer
if I remember correctly, Netflix actually owns a part of their stock, so there actually is a legal obligation to do so.
Yeah, and not only that, but the fact that Microsoft gets tangled up in there because they own Minecraft, and that would be nasty if they didn't fulfill that. But supposedly he's insisting that the studio will remain open and they're not closing. We'll see about that.
We all know that one dude that we all work with that drinks the corporate Kool-Aid and believes everything the boss tells him. So they said that my job when I worked warehouse work, our supervisor always used to tell us, "Oh, we'd never shut down. No, why would we? We make so much money." Then he quit 2 weeks later, and then we all got laid off the week after that. So
boy, that escalated quickly.
So let's get the spice up, Ivan.
Now, I will preface this by saying what I'm going to give you is like Taco Bell hot sauce. Volcano sauce is coming on Monday. Like this is not the full deal.
This is only mostly the deal.
Prepare
yourself. Because the one on Monday is going to be detailed as hell. This is just kind of like off the cuff kind of stuff. So
sure.
Ultimately, what I think this is going to be an example of a developer, publisher, cashing out rather than cashing in.
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep in mind, Telltale prior to this point, if I remember correctly, I think worked on Lego games and maybe a few small. But they hit the big time when it came to Walking Dead Season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Because it won Game of the Year. Which was a big deal in 2012. And it was a out of nowhere kind of deal. It was episodic. It was a big change. And they got a lot of goodwill because of that. And it changed the perspective for a lot of people. So what happened in 2012, they expanded. They took on a bunch of projects. They did Tales from the Borderlands, Back to the Future, Wolf Among Us. There's just tons and tons of different little franchises they picked up and did, but they never actually invested in themselves creatively. They basically said, we're going to make The Walking Dead, but with Minecraft. The Walking Dead, but with Game of Thrones. They basically said, we're going to cash out. We're going to use all the goodwill we had and make all these little franchises, these games, just cashing in on big properties. We're not going to change anything. We're not going to push ourselves to be different, to be better, to, for sake of a better term, be greater. They never actually did that. Instead, what they decided to do was, we're going to keep cashing out on all these other franchises till no one likes us anymore. And and according to the CEO, that's what happened. Sales were down for almost all their franchises. And you could, and I think Sam's on point here. There's no way upper management didn't know that they were going to be shutting down.
Mm-hmm.
And you know why I knew that there was going to be problems? When they actually listened to people and went back to Walking Dead and went back to Wolf Among Us. When they announced, oh yeah, we're going to do season 2. Because that's what the one thing everyone's been asking for, season 2 of Wolf Among Us. And we're going to finish Walking Dead. When they went back to that was a sign of desperation. Right. Another good example, another studio you can look at as a side thing to this is Gearbox. Where they made Borderlands 1. Everybody liked Borderlands 1. They made Borderlands 2. Everyone still loved it. Everyone's asking for Borderlands 3. They're not going to listen. They're going to do what they want to do. And now they're going back to Borderlands 3 when nobody cares. And it's too late. And that's the thing with Telltale for me. I think there's going to be more things that are come out tomorrow. There's going to be more drama that's going to come out. I don't believe what they have stated publicly, that it's just sales. Because if it was just sales, they would have announced something sooner, and we would have had some more information.
You know what? Here's the thing. I'll co-sign everything you just said. It's tough love, but it's completely fair. I do, and I agree with you as well. There has to be something else. I was actually talking with Eric about this when we were playing Destiny 2 last night. It's something is out of place. If it was just financial reasons, then this would have happened sooner. You know what I'm saying? Like, they wouldn't have been able to keep going. Like, especially looking at that Steam graph for the owners of all the different seasons. Like, they should have run out before this. They should have emphasized getting The Wolf Among Us Season 2 out, because that was one of the things where it's like, people like me, all the fans were going to buy it up no matter what, right? Because that was the one IP that I think, how do I say this? You and I have talked about it. It really fit the comic book storybook mold. You know what I'm saying? Like, it actually fit that type of formula. But yeah, more is going to come out about this story. There has to be more, because
I would not be surprised if there was news of money mismanagement. And the only reason I say that is because I don't believe that they could have all these franchises and that they had to buy the rights for each individual one. Like, as we saw with the Minecraft thing, like the Minecraft one doesn't cost them anything.
Right. Well, because Microsoft actually came to them about that one. That's the difference.
But I don't believe that's the only thing. But I would not be particularly surprised if it does come out that there was some money mismanagement, and this is the result of that.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, I'm kind of saving some more of my harder stuff for later. But sure. I just don't. I just do not have any sympathy for them, honestly. And I'm not talking about the developers. No, the individual developers working there, this sucks for them. I'm talking about the company itself.
Right.
Because they had 6 years to get their stuff together, and they didn't. And they didn't bother trying to do anything new. And like the fact they still didn't even change their engine. The engine has no physics system. It's been 6 years.
Right. I mean, I know they were finally planning. I think they were planning to move to Unity by the time they made the Stranger Things game. But it's like, come on,
it's too late now.
It should have happened long before that. And yeah, I don't know. And like, I know this is selfish. Like, this is such a selfish statement. It's not even funny, and people can grill me on. But I am really hurt we're not getting season 2 of The Wolf Among Us. That is going to sting me for a long time, because I love those characters. The comics it's based on, Fables, it's phenomenal. And
I'm with you, dude. That's the one Telltale series I actually like.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, hey, because it's not trying to cash in on this super prior established franchise with name recognition, because nobody knew this stuff beforehand.
It's actually pretty creative. Let's take these quality characters and this really unique premise that literally nobody knows about and play around with it and see what happens. And it worked really well. It's one of the few games I would say that actually has some wide-branching decisions in terms of how everything plays out. But I don't know. That hurts.
There's a great, and I'll end my take on this in just a second. Great little tweet thread that came out. I think it was earlier today or it was late last night. I have to look at it again. It's by Dan Stapleton from over at IGN. I thought this was on point. This was my feelings. I'll read what he said. He said, Telltale is an interesting developer. Its breakout hit, The Walking Dead Season 1, was something unlike anyone had seen before. Its maturity and emotion was almost unprecedented. That was amazing. But everything after that was something we'd seen before in a new set of clothing. Its problem, I think, is its failure to come up with new gameplay to complement the storytelling. I instead play in favor of pure story, which led me to wonder why I was playing this instead of just watching it. When YouTube exists, that's not a viable strategy. After a couple of games, the quote helix structure became obvious. No matter what you did, no matter who you remembered what, the effects only matter for a short time before you're brought back to a common point. The illusion of choice, was shattered and nothing mattered anymore. I think Telltale's legacy will be having taught valuable lessons on how to make choice feel important in a story, even when it's not. When married with strong gameplay, that could be powerful and memorable, but it's especially clear in hindsight, and this alone can't carry a game. I thought that was exactly on point with what needed to be said, because that's like, if you look at any other developer, when they have a breakout hit, they don't just rest on their laurels. Yeah, they try to recreate what worked, but then they try to make better what didn't work. And Telltale never bothered trying to make better gameplay. They never tried. If they even just tried, I would have been happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they tried to do a combat system that wasn't just quick time events, if they had tried to do something outside of the regular wheelhouse, I would have been happy. But never bothered. They just cranked out game after game after game, and that's it. And now they're gone. And I say good riddance. More time for Life is Strange.
Ugh.
You were doing really well for Nick until that last
It's like, hold on, man. No,
I like Life is Strange, honestly, but I was not. Those episodic games are still not my favorite thing, but I did enjoy playing.
I don't mind episodic games. Like Hitman was a great
Mr. Hitman.
Yeah, like
episodic games are great, but the issue is devs are still trying to figure out, in my opinion, this proves the balance of, hey, give someone something bite-sized and then have the next episode come out a reasonable time after that. I think that still hasn't been quite perfect. I think Hitman, out of everything, has come the closest to getting that release schedule right.
But the result, the thing was, as Anchor said, is with Telltale games, it was like you'd sit down. The thing is, too, with Telltale games, and they were all the same length, too. You know what I mean? Like, everything felt like block shape. They're like 8 to 10 hours long every time. There was almost always 5 episodes, unless it was a mini one like The Walking Dead Michonne, which was 3 episodes, I think. They all were like, a new episode would come out, you'd play it for 2 hours, then you'd have to wait for the next one. And there was no depth to find in that with like Hitman. The reason why it worked is because the levels had so much depth. There's 19 different ways you can kill this guy. Figure out all the different ways and do all these different challenges. That there's replayability factor. Whereas with Telltale games, I never replayed a Telltale game except for Wolf Among Us.
Yeah. Choose one other different, like a slightly different cutscene, or you can just watch on YouTube and there's no difference.
Right. Yeah. Again, bar Wolf Among Us, and I think I'll also give a nod to Tales from the Borderlands. even though it wasn't perfect, it at least tried to do something different as well with the characters. But
with Tales of the Borderlands, what made me appreciate that is I don't like the Borderlands games. And I thought Tales of the Borderlands was amazing because it made me care about a universe that I was absolutely not in love with.
The over-the-top nature also, again, suits that comic book, art book style facade.
I think if they wanted to do something like the Batman series they did was okay. It was, I'd say, borders on great. But the problem was with that is the story was really good, but it wasn't good enough for me to sit through 10 hours of the QTE stuff. The QTE stuff really wore me out in those games. Like, I wanted to play the story, but the gameplay just was dry after playing so many of them.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. You can't make the same games over and over and over and over and over. Expect people to buy it. And without example, Dynasty Warriors gets an exemption from that because they've literally been selling the same game for like God knows how long. And I think the only reason that people haven't started complaining about this with developers like Quantic Dreams is because they don't put out a game every year or 2 titles every year. I think if Quantic Dreams released a game every year in their style, the same thing would happen.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Since Quantic Dreams has usually about a 4-year cycle, I'm going to say, about 3 or 4 years, give or take, maybe 5. People don't get bored with it because it's not, oh, here's another one of a different franchise that I know that's popular. It's
right. Which makes me very interested to see what's going to happen with Supermassive Games, because we know what they're doing, right? They moved away. They're no longer working with Sony. They've gone multi-plat, but they're basically making a universe of games inspired by Until Dawn. And they're going to be releasing, according to the CEO, they'd like to release 2 of their Until Dawn type horror games every year. So I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with them, because I loved Until Dawn. Okay, I'll just go ahead and put that out there. I think it's one of the hidden gems on the PS4. It's a fantastic game, but I'm wondering, how can you release games that quickly and do innovation? I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
I don't know. Yeah. I at least give them credit for having to create their own entire world. At least that much.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that they're not going to be sequels, like every single one is going to be a one-off.
Yeah. So I give respect for that. So
yeah,
I think there's a little bit of difference though, because as much as like I started Until Dawn day before. I can't remember. I
thought we were going to play that together. Go ahead.
I did like the first half an hour to an hour, but there's still gameplay variations that even like you didn't have with Telltale games. You know what I mean? There was still enough variation of gameplay where it kept you interested. And I think with Supermassive Games that if they do something a little bit different with each one, they'll be okay. And I think that's the key thing you got to do is even if you have a style, you can tweak that style enough to make it feel fresh. Because like most games are repeats on themselves. You look at the Splinter Cell series. You're sneaky beaky. You sneak around, you beat up guys, you shoot some guys. Awesome spy story. The end. But it's the details within that make each game better because they add a mechanic, they add a new thing, they add this. If you make a game and then the follow-up has some stuff added in that differentiates it enough from the other game, you won't have that dry rotation problem. That's the thing with Telltale games. The games start to look a little bit better and they start to perform a little bit better. But if you take Walking Dead Season 1 and then you play their most recent one, mechanically,
they all play the same.
Exactly.
They're all exactly the same.
You know what's actually a really good comparison for Telltale? Like the first few, when Assassin's Creed was really getting into its stride. I think, like, because if you notice, like, after Assassin's Creed 2, that was their breakout hit for Assassin's Creed. And then right after that, it was like, okay, we got Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, we got Assassin's Creed Revelations, we got 3, we got 4.
Unity,
like,
you got the
but
side-scrolling
notice,
ones. You got everything.
yeah, a bunch of stuff, and people got tired of it because it was, repetitive because it was coming out every year. But you notice on each yearly release, they tried to do something different. They added mechanic, they added something new, like they added naval combat in Assassin's Creed 3. Like they tried to add something new with each iteration, even though they were oversaturating the market with that one franchise. Mind you, not just different franchises. It's the same game over and over again. We made fun of them for copy paste. It's the same exact thing, except they tried to do something different with each individual game. Like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, they added multiplayer. Assassin's Creed 3, they added naval combat. Assassin's Creed 4, they focused on being... they tried doing something different. And that's the big point for me. That's why I give them a major pass on stuff, because they at least tried.
Yeah.
And they did significant things to shake that up. Like, people don't seem to understand, like, adding in naval combat was no just, like, copy and paste
that was random as hell.
Yeah. and it worked, especially in 3. 3, like, when 4 came along and they're like, swashbuckling pirates, I was like, that makes sense. 3, I was just kind of like...
And now for something completely different.
And you know what? Even in the series, Origins was actually a new... a better direction with all those gameplay design changes and stuff like that for the series. I mean, they're trying something new for the series, something different, something that other people have done before, of course, but at the same time, something new entirely for the series itself. And you know what? That paid off big time, big time. So it's going to be, I think.
I swear, the guys at Ubisoft, when they did Origins, I swear they sat down, went, we just copy the RPG elements of The Witcher 3 and put in an Assassin's Creed game.
It worked. It worked. It bought me over. It was my game of the year that year.
Hey, one thing too, like, because everyone talks about, okay, what made Telltale special is their stories and making choices feeling important, and watching diverging paths and stuff. But a game that actually did that better, like where the actual choices actually meant something and changed the story, but you still did come back to it eventually. But like an actual thing where you made choices, but the gameplay was actually good. Witcher 3.
Yep.
Witcher 3 did the same exact thing. Here's an example. So I was talking to my brother about this about a couple months ago. We were talking about he stopped playing Witcher 3. And so I said, why'd you stop playing it? It's like, I hated the Bloody Baron mission. And I was like, it wasn't bad for me. I thought it was fine. And so it's like, yeah, he killed himself for me. And I was like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
So it was like that totally changed his mindset on the game because of that.
Right.
And so for him, he didn't like the game anymore because of that. But that's the idea of this is the kind of gameplay that where it actually has a consequence that you can't go back and fix. And it's the same exact thing as opposed to Telltale. Because with their games, it's just kind of like, you did it and it's over. Done. But it comes back to it because they can't actually make a real branching choice difference. But anyway, that's what I look at it as. I just don't see it as them being really the best, the torchbearers of great storylines and quests and making choices in a game. I just don't see it. That torch has already been passed along several times now.
Yeah, I think the big reason why everyone latched on to Telltale, especially with the Walking Dead series, is The Walking Dead was at fever pitch popularity at that point. For one thing.
Right.
That was back when the show was actually decent.
It wasn't in between season 1.
The show was never decent, so I don't know what you're talking about.
You know what?
Show's trash.
Hey, agreed. Show is trash.
Like let's face it, if you try to put like The Walking Dead next to like Breaking Bad, Sons of Anarchy, or any of those shows, it doesn't even measure up. But
God, terrible, dude. It really is. Like, it's not remotely interesting anymore. Like after they killed Dale in season 1, the series was over.
Oh my god!
I will never forgive them. Dale didn't bother nobody.
That was season 2.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
Yeah, that was too, because that's when my wife stopped watching because she was like, "That's like my dad." No, because Dale looks.
He didn't bother nobody. He didn't bother nobody. He didn't deserve to die. Why couldn't they kill off Rick? He should have died years ago.
15 seasons in him, okay?
They should have killed off the kid, Carl.
Coral?
They should have done something. Coral.
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 All right.
Move on. Come on. Let's get this going.
All right. So
this is gonna be bad.
We'll touch on PS now, chicken there. So PS Now got a big update, or is getting a big update. So you're going to be able to download. You don't have to stream. You'll be able to download the PS4 and the classic PS2 games that are available from the service. The PS3 games you still have to stream, though. It's on sale right now. They decreased the cost. I don't know if it's a permanent price cut yet.
It's not permanent. It's a promotional sale.
Okay, so promotional sale, I think it's $99 US or $130 Canadian if you're in the land of the hockey pucks. So yeah,
so it is promotional. Okay.
Yeah. So obviously, PlayStation's decided finally to update PlayStation Now. If you actually scroll to the bottom of this channel, one of the first videos I actually did on this channel of what could make PS Now better, and the first thing I said was to get more relevant titles on it, which PS4 games, and to be able to download them. Now, it's unfortunate they can't get the PS3 titles to download because of that good old cell processing.
It's busy with powering the refrigerator. Give it some space.
Yeah. PS3. What a time to be alive. So basically, PS Now is starting to make some improvements. The downloading thing's a big thing because, as we know, across all of North America and even parts of Europe and everything else, streaming isn't necessarily a viable option for games for a lot of people yet. So download is always a good option, even if it takes you 2 days to download a game.
And also graphical fidelity. I don't want to play in 720p no more.
Yeah, it's true.
If everyone remembers correctly, people bought the PlayStation 4 for 1080p.
It makes you a better gamer.
Oh no.
Nick, keep going. Please.
You brought him in.
Shutting down.
You brought him in.
I know I did.
It's your fault, Nick. It's your fault. You suffer the consequences of your decisions.
I'm suffering, that's for sure.
Yes.
So, Sam, what do you think of these changes to PS Now? Do you think people are going to go out and get it like it's Game Pass or not?
Well, so just to clarify, I mean, it's PS2 classics and PS4 games that can be downloaded. And if it's a PS4 game and you have a PS4 Pro and it has the enhancement, then you can use the enhancement patch version of the downloaded game.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. It really is good to see them add it. It's long overdue in my opinion, and I think it's good to have Game Pass because that means there's some competition there, and Sony's actually forced to make some of these changes. The issue for me is just because of how expensive it is. The main reason I would use PlayStation Now is the PS3 games. It'd be like, hey, is Demon's Souls on there? Is Metal Gear Solid 4 on there? All these games that are trapped on the PS3, and backward compatibility is basically impossible because of how complicated the cell is. We're just barely now getting to the point where emulators on $5,000 PCs can brute force it. It's not going to happen for the PS4. It's unlikely to happen for the PS5. It's extremely unlikely. So it sucks, but that would be my main reason. But if we can't download those games, then that doesn't solve the latency issue. That doesn't solve any of those problems. So for me, if you're new to the PS4 ecosystem, it's something to consider. Okay, that's the way I would look at it. It's like, hey, get the promotional price, $100 a year. Look in there. There's a couple PS2 classics worth playing. There's Bloodborne, Until Dawn, a few other good PS4 games. Look through there. And yeah, so if you're new to the ecosystem, it's worth looking at now. Absolutely. I would never have recommended it before. Now I would if you're new. For the people like me who have established PS4 libraries, though, the problem is there's no point. There's literally no point to picking it up because you'd be paying much more than Game Pass for streaming PS3 games at the end of the day. So I think that's the issue. If they ever somehow figure out how to get PS3 games downloadable, whether it be on the PS5 or whatever, then in that case, we'll be talking. We'll be in business. But that's unlikely to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it sucks too because right now the big marketing push is like, oh, you can download your PS4 and PS2 games. Excuse me. They have 650 plus games on PS Now, and 500 plus of them are PS3 titles. So you literally can only download like not even a sixth of the titles.
Wow.
And
well, it's a little more than that, I think. But regardless, the point is.
Regardless, and there's not really any like besides like initial launch exclusives, there's not any like must play multi-plats in there for the most part.
Right.
Also, if you're playing a multiplayer game through your PS Now membership, you don't need PS Plus to play the multiplayers of those games.
That is good. That is a really good thing. That's something Microsoft should look at doing for Game Pass.
That was an interesting combo, and when I read that too earlier today, I was like, huh, that's like you just said, that's a good combo. That's a good value combo.
To be really honest, though, and this is going to come across as pessimistic, but if you have PS Now, you probably are already playing for PS Plus.
Yeah.
Probably because of the free games. You most likely are.
If you're going to sit there and go, I want free games, you're going to go PS Plus. You're not going to go PS Now first. But it's a good option, and it gave them a good PR pat on the back. We're doing good things. Don't pay attention to cross progression or cross play or anything. Just worry about us giving you free PS Plus when you're playing on PS Now. But like I said, that's a very pessimistic viewpoint. It is a good thing that they don't paywall multiplayer on there. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Anchor, any thoughts on PS Now? You gonna run out and go buy a PS Now membership now?
Well, I'm looking at I'm on my PlayStation right now. I'm taking a look at the games they do have, just to double check. And what caught my eye is they have Fallout New Vegas on the promo art. I want to see if they actually have Fallout New Vegas on there.
Ooh, something's Bethesda.
They do. It's the streaming PS3 game, though, so have fun shooting.
The PS3 version, the already worst possible version of Fallout New Vegas.
The version that's already... They have Red Dead Redemption on there as well, and I'm like, that's the version of the game where the multiplayer servers have been shut down, and Rockstar themselves have said it's so glitchy they don't want to touch anything. They can't patch anything.
So bad.
Or something else. So I'm like... What's the point?
And then we're sitting here going, "Oh, I love this Xbox One X enhanced version right here."
Yeah, basically, just that's the fact. I wouldn't be playing these 360 games on my Xbox One if I had to stream them. That's just the reality. Not everyone has good internet.
No,
okay, not everyone does.
And like it was fantastic that now that we're seeing them have that downloadable option, but like. Kind of like what everybody else is saying, it'd be nice to have the PS3 library maybe available for that as well. Maybe expand a little bit more to the PS2 as well. If they played it right, they easily can play it right, but they can take a Game Pass if they really wanted to. The Game Pass is great, but PS Now has such a vast library to it. It's kind of just insane to have access to that, right?
Yeah, well, if you look at it and see, this is the thing too, is if those PS3 games were downloadable, I'd be there day one. For the simple reason is like you look at and like old PlayStation exclusive, but you can get God of War God of War 2, 3,
Well, that's the
Ascension,
thing, like-
Chains of Olympia, Ghost
Yeah.
of Sparta.
Like,
The game
You could play
selection
the
is
Disney
good.
Bolt game. Like, who picked this list? Like,
Hey,
I'm
Like,
sorry.
for someone-
I'm looking at the list right now of just the games that they have on here, and
Yeah.
I specifically listed like adventure, like basically other than driving and sports games. I basically just narrowed it down to everything else. I just want to see what they had. I just like it's this Bolt.
hey, they added Brink a few months ago.
I'm looking at Brink right now. Like, damn, dude.
That was such a bad game. But anyways, as I was going to say earlier, for someone like me who I actually have never grown up owning a PlayStation console at all, my first PlayStation console was actually the PS4 Pro, only a couple of years ago. Not even a couple of years ago, a year and a half. But like, if they had access to PS3 and PS2 games, downloadable, not stream, like a decent internet, but I don't trust it enough to stream it in proper full native quality. I'd rather prefer to download it and just play it. Like, if I had that option, I'd be sitting there playing all of these fantastic PlayStation classics that I really don't want to now because I'm going to be forced to stream to play it. I don't want to. I want to download it. It's just easier.
Yeah.
It's better on the eyes.
No,
Come on,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, like it's. I'm sure they could figure it out because if everyone remembers at the start of this generation, Xbox said at the start of this generation there was no possible way that they could do backwards compatibility with the Xbox One.
Right.
And
They
they
have
figured it.
such a talented team behind their Xbox
Oh.
backwards compatibility.
They're
program right
wizards.
now.
The fact they were able to get OG backwards compatibility as well.
But like for so many of these games, and like you can play all of the Assassin's Creed games, all of them. You can play all of the Call of Duty games. You can they're just really good at what they do. I'm surprised at the amount of games that there are right now. I would think it would be kind of like a half-hearted program that Microsoft was going to end up doing, but turns out not so much this time around, which is great.
They've got over 500 games.
Oh, I know, it's insane. Like and it keeps going, and all the major hits are in there. At least most of them, at least. Like, it's wonderful. It's great.
Yeah, and backwards compatibility is great, and it's a shame that we've seen it be abandoned by the people that were pushing it prior to this as well, because Nintendo was a large proprietor of backwards compatibility with the Nintendo Wii. That was part of the reason that the Wii's success is you could take all your Game Boy games with you. It was great. You had options. And then and if they wanted the Wii U to do a lot better, they should have made that backwards compatible too, but that's a whole different ballgame. Plus, Nintendo just likes port $60 anyway, so because we all need Super Mario Brothers U, which
Shit.
there is the most crooked piece of metal of how much I want to tell Nintendo to get bent for some of the Wii U ports they're bringing across. Like, it seems like if you're going to port anything from the Wii U, where the hell is Super Mario Maker? I know that's like the weirdest thing to want to bring across, but that game was bloody brilliant.
Really?
Like,
that one game? That's the one you want?
That one game. That one game. We don't need another Zelda game. We don't need any Metroid.
Whoa. Do you watch your mouth? You watch your mouth.
Nobody needed Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze for $60.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that one. That one can shuffle off somewhere down the line.
Donkey Kong is okay. Donkey Kong.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I mean, like that's really this generation, honestly, when it comes to these old games, and I have said this back in 2013, and it's everyone else's fault but mine. That because we have bought all these remastered titles, we have effectively told everyone we don't care about any sort of integrity. As long as I can play my old games, I will pay any amount of money possible.
Nostalgia.
Instead of actually having a real version, like a truly remastered games. I think some games do deserve to be remastered. I will give that eternally.
Mm-hmm.
I think some games do. Like I think BioShock deserved it because the game was 10 years old. I think games that are 10 years or over deserve a remaster if it's an actual game worth having. But at the same time, like, okay, we were getting remasters of games that came out like 3 years ago. Like, we didn't need a remaster. We needed backwards compatibility. Or if it was a port, charge $20 and call it a port. But instead, what we were doing is we basically have told everyone we are okay with having every game be resold to us for full price. And everyone has listened, and they have given you that. And it is, in this particular matter, it is by the grace of Phil Spencer that they have not milked us for that on Xbox yet.
Right.
Because really, the fact that we have backwards compatibility for free is amazing.
It's the odd egg out out of all the big three.
Because you see PlayStation, and part of it is because there is a technical problem with the PlayStation 3.
Sure.
And that makes sense. I understand. But the ones that they do bring back, they're charging full price for. Well, I think that it is a little discounted. They normally say about $50.
Shadow of the Colossus was 40. So,
it's normally not too bad, but they still are charging what would be considered full price.
Wasn't that game remade twice as well? So it was the original, first remaster, and then did a second remaster.
Yeah,
so technically people have bought the game
because
3 times.
Yeah, Shadow of the Colossus was a PS2 game, I believe. It was remastered for the PS3 and then was remade for the PS4. And we're going to get the penultimate edition on the PS5.
What?
The final Titan mode.
Oh, it's gonna be
they're going to add in Ant-Man at full size as a final Colossus.
It's not a sequel, it's just another remaster.
And no one's making a Metal Gear remake, damn it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, Nintendo is selling full price games. Like, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze should not be $60.
No,
they didn't upgrade it.
I'm all for them pulling over their games from the Wii U because practically no one bought the Wii U. That's fine. But
that's
take
totally
$10 or $20 off the price. Come on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, and that's the thing too. Like, that's why I will not buy Mario Kart, because I know, like, oh yeah, we got a couple new racers. Like, that's still not worth $60 though. It's like, why would you not? This is why I'm just kind of like. That's why I'm also kind of like, I was a little scared about Smash Bros. I was a little scared about it because when they first showed it off, it did not look like it was a new game. It looked like it was a port.
Yeah,
but
well,
they
hopefully
just added,
that's been
all the DLC
hopefully.
Now I feel better about that. Now I feel better about it. But the first maybe like 2 months of knowing about it, I was not feeling good about it. It was not. It was not good. No good vibes here. But yeah, that was what I wasn't feeling it, guys. I was more worried about that.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair. I know a lot of people were worried about that with that game, and there's just a special place in hell for Activision with their quote unquote remasters of let's see, Marvel Ultimate Alliance for $60, Prototype 1 and 2
Deadpool.
as a bundle. Kicker with Deadpool on Xbox One, by the way, I found out when I bought it, it's glitchy. You have to set your Xbox offline. If it's connected to Xbox Live, it drops the frame rate to a nice and steady about 4 frames per second.
What?
Really?
That's a consistent
I didn't have any problems
bug.
with it.
Wow.
Consistent bug. I'd go on the forum to find out because I was like playing it and it was like 4 frames per second on my Xbox One X. I'm like, what the hell? And then I booted it up on my PS4 and I was like, it's doing this too. And then they're like, oh, you have to go offline. I'm like, so I booted my console offline and it worked. I'm like,
that's weird. That is that's weird.
But these Activision with the cheap ports, like Prototype. Nobody asked. No one asked for Prototype.
No one wants to play Prototype anymore. It was
Hey, I didn't say that. You watch your mouth.
hey, maybe I will.
Prototype was the best Spider-Man game before this Spider-Man game came out.
I love the first one. I really, really enjoyed the first one. I actually have, I think, the remaster bundle or whatever it was on the Xbox here.
Yeah, I had the 360 version. I played the first game, loved it. Got about halfway through the second game before I was like, why'd they make this?
Yeah.
It was like we took an already boring protagonist and made a new protagonist that's even more boring.
It was almost untouchable.
Yeah.
It was bad.
All right, so last topic is the PlayStation Classic, which kind of ties in interestingly with PS Now coming in, and then they're trying to sell you PS1 mini console. So it's no surprise to anyone that PlayStation is releasing they call it the PlayStation Classic.
Right,
We're
the
gonna call it the
PlayStation Classic.
We're gonna call it the PlayStation Mini because I'm too lazy to say classic every time, and because it's 45% smaller than the original PS1. So it's a mini, but they don't want to use the word mini because we all know how happy Nintendo is. And they'll somehow warped it around that they own copyright rights to anything named mini.
Oh, Lord.
You're going to have moderately average sized Coopers soon.
Oh, Lordy.
So the PlayStation Classic, it was announced, and anyone else feel it was kind of weird that they're trying to sell people a remake, like a mini console with 20 games on it, but we're only going to tell you what 5 of the games are, but you can pre-order now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little...
I don't know. They have those other games ready
Especially because one of those games is actually on the PS4 and is coming to the Xbox One and the Switch, Final Fantasy VII. So it's just like, really? I really? And it's $100, so it's more than the 2 Nintendo mini consoles. There's less games. We don't know which games they are. I don't know.
It's also got the worst variation of the classic PS1 controller, too.
Right. No analog sticks. It's the PS1, not the PS1. So, which is the official distinction, by the way. I'm not even kidding. So it's.
And add into the fact that the 5 games, like if you're trying to sell someone on a main console, you want to hit them with that nostalgia. You want to hit them with that 1-2 punch. Final Fantasy VII, everybody's sick of hearing about this damn game, okay? There's a remake coming. It's available on PlayStation. You're going to be able to get it on Xbox and Switch soon. Who cares?
Yeah. And
then, like Tekken 3 is one of the best Tekkens or revered games by people that are fans of the franchise, so I get that. Wild Arms, Jumping Flash, and Ridge Racer? Ridge Racer Type 4?
Ridge Racer.
Are we
like Dan's saying in chat? Parasite Eve. Come on, like get the things that get people hyped.
Literally, all you'd have to do is be like, "We're releasing this mini PlayStation console. You can play the original Resident
Crash
Evil
Racing." If they come out and say Crash Racing, oh my god, that's a wrap.
Yeah, and so it's like And don't get me wrong, the NES Mini has been made extremely redundant by Nintendo, including NES games and their online service. Like,
but they already sold you the NES Mini. They don't care.
Though. Yeah. Question for the group, though, just because I got to know where you guys' heads are at.
Sure.
All right, so if you could pick the 5, well, what are the 5, well, say the 5 games that would be on your PlayStation Classic, what would it be? Off the top of your head.
Off the top of my head.
Twisted Metal, Command & Conquer. Toy Soldiers. Oh shoot! What else would be there? Spyro.
This would sell the PlayStation Classic to you. This would be like, I'm sold.
Probably. I can only think of 4 right now.
The problem is, like, the games I think of, it's like, wait a minute, I don't want to play that without sticks. That's the problem. The lack of the analog sticks is a massive issue there, dude.
Well, that kills my desire to play like Twisted Metal.
Right. Twisted Metal. Yeah, without that. I mean, I mean, Parasite Eve. Honestly, like Dan said, Parasite Eve. That would be a big one. Maybe I'm shamelessly looking at a list of original PlayStation games. Honestly, trying to shake myself up here.
See, for me, it'd be like if I was gonna go off of it, give me the original Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, give me once again though without sticks. Not a huge fan.
Dino Crisis and Dino Crisis 2.
Yeah, there you go.
Everybody's happy.
That would be big.
Metal Gear Solid has to be on there, and Castlevania Symphony of the Night is like
Those two.
Now, mine would be Crash Team Racing would have to be on there.
Mm-hmm.
Spyro 1.
Yep. Hell yeah.
Spider-Man 2000.
Oh.
Okay.
The good Spider-Man game. Let's see. Crash Bandicoot 1. Like, it's got to be on there. And... Oh, what's on? I could go with Tony Hawk. Any Tony Hawk game will be okay.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what would be a great game for me? Lego Island 2. I'm not even kidding.
My God,
I had that on PC. But it was on the original PlayStation. It was on the Game Boy. That would be a great one to have in there. The chance of it being in there is like beyond low. But
is Lego Racers, wasn't that on PlayStation 1 or is that PlayStation 2?
I don't think that was on PlayStation 1.
You know what game that got me so hyped on PlayStation? Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels.
Oh
okay,
my God. No, I gotta tell you the story. So when I was in when I was growing up, we had a very close-knit street community with people.
Sure.
So my neighbors, we all had different systems and stuff. For me, I didn't have anything. So, but I was always mooching off somebody else. So if I wanted to play PlayStation, I had to go across the street. If I wanted to play Sega Genesis, I had to go next door. If I wanted to play N64, I had to hop the fence to the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would alternate between what we were playing depending on where we were. So for the guy across the street, his name was Rick. The guy across the street had the PlayStation. He was in the PlayStation ecosystem. And with him, he was having a birthday party. And we were doing a sleepover at his house. And his mom went to bed. And there were maybe about like 10 of us there.
Mm-hmm.
And we snuck into the living room because we were all sleeping in the den. We snuck in we waited for her to go to sleep because she said, all right, time for you guys to go to bed. It's like maybe 10 o'clock. So she goes to bed. We wait about 10:30 till we hear her. Like she starts like breathing regularly. It's like, okay. So we sneak into the living room, grab the big ass CRT TV, and we're it's just a bunch of 10-year-olds carrying this giant ass like 60-inch TV that weighs like 120 pounds, like into the den across the house, like on old wood floors. So you hear it creaking, like slowly, quiet.
Oh, that's
so we snuck it all the way over to the den, and we started playing Hot Wheels. And we were freaking out, doing loop-de-loops and stuff. We're like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. But I will always remember that moment. I must have been like maybe 8 years old.
You know what? I always forgot is like there's so many great games from that generation. I played a lot of them on PC. But there was a game that I used to play. What was it called? It was Lego Rock Raiders.
Yes, Rock Raiders, dude, that game was awesome. Like you command the Lego mining crew and build your station, but you get attacked by rock monsters and slugs.
And they had like color coordinate on the monsters, so you had to have guys equipped with the right weapons. To
right, you actually had to give your guys training, like give them certifications for what they were allowed to do, and it actually had really cool pathfinding at the time. Yeah, was that on the original PlayStation?
I played on PC. That's why I'm kind of curious. I don't know if it was.
Yeah, I played on PC too. I'm gonna look that up now. Rock Raiders. No, not the theme. I want the game. Give me the game. The video game was released on the original PlayStation. Okay, yeah, so Lego Island 2 and Rock Raiders. I know we're in the minority here, but I want those. That would make me get it. That and just might do it. Some others, I was looking through the list of PlayStation games, and a few others that they really need to have in there would be like Silent Hill, the original one. Although, again, lack of a DualShock means that's going to suck, because so much of that game was like the feedback through the DualShock if your health was low and stuff like that. But Nick, I know this would get your attention. Siphon Filter.
Yes.
Siphon Filter, that would be a big one. And then, let's see, the original Tekken, Soul Edge, which is the first Soul Calibur game. You know, they've got a lot of good stuff to choose from, actually. There's plenty of good games.
Okay.
The problem is, there's only going to be 20.
I want to pose this question to you guys.
Okay.
Because of how this was announced, they decided to go, these are these 5 games that we're having. Do you think we're not going to get any of these big titles because these were the ones they decided to show? Do you think this is the best that is going to be on this?
Probably.
The pessimistic side of me says, yeah, absolutely. Because, okay, please correct me if I'm wrong. Nintendo didn't lead off with, here's these games, we'll tell you more later, right? They said, hey, here's the games that are available.
Yeah, no, when they launched the NES Mini and the SNES Mini, they had a comprehensive games list available before you could pre-order. Whereas PlayStation's opened this up for pre-orders, but they won't reveal what the games list is. Which I'm all for buying. Like, I'm probably going to buy this. Because it's cool. It's got the OG box. It's got the OG style controller. It's collectible. It's cool. It's only $100. I'm kind of in for that. But at the same time, the software isn't going to be there. And the main thing I'm going to be keeping an eye on Reset Era and Reddit to find this at. I want to know if it's like the SNES Mini and the NES Mini where you can hack it and add more games. That's all I care about.
Yeah, and it's like, again,
I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's Sony here. They're not going to let you hack anything. They're probably going to ban you and so you even think about doing that.
Yeah, it's just, you know, the whole taking pre-orders before actually announcing the games, that's bugging me wrong. It's like, hey, Sony, please give us a unified ecosystem. I would buy these games for $5 to $15 each. Put them on the PlayStation Store. Let me buy them, especially since there were a ton of PS1 games that were playable on the PS3 and the PS Vita.
Yeah,
that alone
for sure.
puts this in come on territory. But I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We could be wrong, and they could get 15 phenomenal other games on there. They could.
And see, the part of me is wondering is the list like this because of licensing issues for these old titles?
Or well, I'm sure partly, yeah.
Because like if Metal Gear's not on there and Castlevania,
it'll probably just be first party stuff. It'll probably be things they had direct control over.
Yeah, because like Konami owns what? They own Metal Gear. And
Silent Hill. But the issue is, unlike when Nintendo did this, it was fine for them to pull primarily from first party. Like 90% of what they did was from first party because their first party was there. The original PlayStation had a lot of great games that were multi-plats, that were not first party. But you know what? Konami worked with Nintendo. They allowed them to have Castlevania as one of their games for the NES Classic. Square Enix worked with them. Final Fantasy was one of them. Ninja Gaiden, I'm looking through the list here. So Ghosts and Goblins was on there. So it's possible. It's possible that we could get some good stuff, but we'll just have to see.
Yeah. I definitely just need to see more of the games list. It's just like if Metal Gear's on there, it'll be I'll punch somebody at a Walmart for it.
Do it. I need a recording.
Yes, take a video. Seriously.
We need a recording.
I will tell you what, when the PS1 Mini comes out, classic, sorry, Nintendo, don't sue me. Don't copyright strike my channel.
Actually, the funny thing is, it's technically called the Nintendo Entertainment System Classic Edition. That's the hilarious part about this.
Oh my god.
Hey, it's better than PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds full retail release.
Oh god. Yeah, that bugs me. That does bug me.
It's even worse when you share a capture from it and tries to use that as an entire hashtag, and you're like, "That's not a hashtag I need to use."
Exactly. Like backspace, backspace, backspace.
Yeah, no. If I'll put this bet right on right now, I will take a picture of me running shirtless at a Walmart parking lot with a PlayStation Mini if Metal Gear Solid is announced on it.
You're on.
All
You're
right.
Do it. I want to see it.
We'll remember that.
Oh. Damn it, Jared.
The panel has remembered that option.
Yes, we will remember that. Gaming Perspective will remember that.
Well, we have remembered that choice.
I have to give Dan credit in the chat too. He said the one upside those with the PlayStation 1 classic consoles are sold out right now. The difference is Sony, unlike Nintendo, realizes if the demand's there, they're going to make a bunch more.
Well, to Nintendo's credit, I actually just dropped this in chat. They actually have started making more, at least in the US on Amazon right now. The NES Classic and the SNES Classic are both in stock. You can get both of them right now. So
see, I love it because I can buy on there's a local guy and all he does is he sells SNES and NES minis loaded with like 200 ROMs on it plus the original ones, and each adds like $15 to the initial cost. So if I ever got one, I'd definitely do it that way, because why not have like 250 games? It still blows my mind, like, to wrap up about this topic, it still blows my mind that Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft to an extent, Microsoft a little bit better with the BC stuff, but it still blows my mind that they haven't tried selling ROMs of their own games on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and Switch for like $5 a pop. Why not? Like, the first thing, and this is again, people can make fun of me to the moon and back. I don't care.
Okay, we will.
I know you will. When I got a computer, I have a computer that, like, now I can run most things in 1440p. You want to know the first thing I've downloaded? Dark Forces. Literally, the first set of games I downloaded was Dark Forces, Baldur's Gate 2, Sid Meier's Pirates, and there was something else too. Oh, Age of Empires.
oh yeah, that's another good
There
one.
you go. That one I can respect.
You know what? You listen here. But I love old games. I love going back and playing games. Like, my main focus this week with my week off is going to be obviously practicing for the PUBG event I'm going to. But I'm mainly focusing on Witcher 3, and I'm going to play Knights of the Old Republic for the first time.
For the first time? Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've never really played that game before either.
No, I've got my Duke plugged in, and I'm gonna give it a go.
Nice.
Nice. Have fun with that, dude. Actually, you know what? You need to stream that. In all seriousness, I would like to see you stream that.
No, why not? I've got most of my streaming stuff set up. So yeah, that's pretty much the show. Thanks, Anchor, for dropping in and realizing that this show's better than Spider-Man 3.
Sorry, you missaid PS4.
Wait, what now?
You missaid Spider-Man PS4.
What?
Jared, I swear.
I had to. It was perfect.
You really didn't.
Oh.
You didn't, though. That's the amazing thing.
Nah, I had to. Don't worry.
Oh,
I got it. I just gotta get it in while I can.
I'm gonna when I get enough money, I'm gonna get someone to animate a picture of Jared doing the gorilla banana eat for the chat. I'm gonna get someone to animate him actually doing it.
Oh no. Oh, no.
Because that's the content that people deserve.
That'll be the day. That'll be the day.
All right, so Anchor, you can plug yourself.
Hi.
there you go. You have it. He has
Done.
spoken.
That's it.
Plugged.
All right, and Sam.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Samuel Talbert. Please check out our website, tickgamesnetwork.com. Some really cool stuff coming up next week, including an interview that I can't talk about right now, but I will be sharing very soon.
Right on. Jared?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at RageVirus_X, or you can also find me at TickGamesNetwork.com. And also here on the Gaming Perspective.
Yeah. And you can find me on Twitter at Undead3XVI, Xbox, PlayStation, all that great stuff, all the same. Across the board, gonna have some stuff going up on the channel, doing a lot of big stuff in the pre-planning stage right now. This week's gonna be super busy for me. And also, if people are interested, I'll be throwing a link out on Twitter in the next as part of a great Spider-Man spoiler cast with the Digital Hoarder guys and some guests. So if you guys want some juicy Spider-Man spoilers ahead of our juicy Spider-Man spoiler cast,
Everyone dies.
Damn it.
He's ruined it.
It's ruined it. Also in saying news, I'll be on the Multiverse show on Monday to
Really?
To dunk on Infinity War because I'm watching that tonight.
Oh my god! Finally, dude.
You haven't seen it yet?
No.
He hasn't done. No, not just finally to go watch the movie. Like finally, you're gonna be on the show. It's been like 2 weeks.
Actually, it's been like
3 weeks, really.
Like pretty
Because
much
we took off Labor Day.
Is it a bit longer than you thought?
Yeah, the Patreon money's getting thin, so I gotta make my return.
Zing!
By the way, you want to know something crazy? So
Sure.
Everyone remembers how messed up the like scaling a mountain was in Skyrim.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically, if it wasn't 90 degrees, you could climb it.
Right.
Yes.
Apparently now, if you go at it and it's like an 89 degree cliff, you can actually skate along the side of the wall.
Oh my lord.
I'm recording a clip. Like I was on the side of a mountain, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna kind of skate on down this, and not just that, but I held on to it, and I just skated alongside. I didn't even go down. I just started moving left all the way across the wall. It's like those maps in Team Fortress 2 where they allow you, like, they're just skate maps. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Team Fortress 2 has a really messed up little cycle there. But, yeah, just funny.
And that's the show, everybody. So you can find us all next week with the Spider-Man spoiler cast once Eric rejoins us next week. And keep an eye out on Twitter for some cool announcements coming up in the next couple of weeks on the kind of videos you're going to be seeing on this channel soon. All right. Everyone have a great Saturday. I'm off to go get drunk.